this started. Go 1 mic, 2 mic, 3 mic, 4. I only have 2 mics. I don't know if you consider the thumbnail clickbait, but it's a little bit of it. In this case, though, I have a little touch of that imposter syndrome inside of me. I kind of have it all the time, actually. I know that I made a lot of things, and especially since I started the Monday Morning Movies, I've been making a lot of stuff. But a huge part of me is always saying, who are you really, though? I mean, are you really good at this? Can you really do this? I mean, I barely have a grasp on just basic mechanics of cameras, a basic knowledge of lighting and all this kind of stuff, as you could probably tell by how this video looks. But that's the whole point, right? Is just to keep on making and keep on learning and keep on getting better. And lucky you, because you get to come along with me as we do this. But yeah, so the clickbait. I did a thing. I bought a new camera. Basically, that's what it should have said. I bought a new camera. See what happens next. That probably would have been more accurate. I had been bouncing back and forth for a long time. Now, the very first camera that I bought is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. Every time I use it, I am absolutely blown away by it. I love this camera. It's old. I think it came out in 2015. It doesn't do anything. It shoots movies. That's all it really does. But it shoots RAW, and that's the biggest thing. And so I'm still just trying to wrap my head around what RAW means and what the capabilities of it. But it really forces you to learn how to be very precise with your camera settings and with the lighting. And so I feel like I'm terrible at it right now. And so hopefully I'll keep on getting better. I wanted to do a vlog this week because I've got a couple of larger projects that I'm currently working on, that I'm currently editing. So I don't have anything small and fun to just put together. So here we are. Another reason for this video is I think that as an early filmmaker, as a new filmmaker, you really go round and round and round with what camera should I buy? I mean, you can spend any amount of money you want to on a camera. It's just a matter of getting the thing that works perfectly for you. One of the YouTubers I really admire had quoted something along the lines of, the best camera is not the one you have, but it's the one that you master. And I really love that. On the other hand, I didn't like the camera that I was using after I got my Blackmagic. And then I got the Panasonic GH5. Great camera, do not get me wrong. Amazing camera, does incredible stuff, has amazing features. I didn't like it. So I got it, I used it for a couple of gigs, and I just didn't like it at all. For one, obviously I am up all night long because of my day job or my night job. And so much of what I shoot is at night. That's where I kind of go out and experiment and have a good time. And that Micro Four Thirds sensor was just not doing it for me. It just wasn't really giving me what I was looking for. So even though I had mentioned that I think I'm going to stick with the GH5 all year and see if I can master it, I just decided that I didn't want to. So I bought it. I bought the Sony A7 III, and my first night out with it, I was just like mind blown. It's my first experience with full frame, so I think that there's gonna be something there where it's just a little surprising, a little jarring, where you're like, I can make this look this good? Okay, I'm not gonna blame the equipment because we've already had this discussion, right? The equipment does not make the filmmaker. But what I was trying to achieve with its predecessor, with the Lumix GH5, was just never gonna reach the levels that I wanted it to. I needed the right tool in my hands for the things that I do. And that tool, I think right now, is the A7 III. So I'm telling you right now, if you're new to the game and you want to enter in, you don't want to go cinema level, you don't want to spend $8,000, $10,000, $15,000, you want to live in that $2,000 range, this is the camera you want. A big reason why I wanted to make this video too is because there's so many of us getting started and we don't know what to pick. And so we choose things based upon budget and based upon reviews of YouTubers and things online and forums and such. But everybody just lays out the pros and the cons and what it is that you like and dislike about it, and then say, but you have to make your own decision. Well, here's what I'm gonna say to you. If you're brand new to the filmmaking game, new-ish, you're not sure what you should get, where you should start, spend the money on full frame. Let's first go over the stuff that people don't like about it that I don't think is bad at all. Number one is the flip screen. It doesn't have one. I never used the flip out screen for vlogging when I had the GH5. But that said, I don't really ever use a camera without a monitor. I'm pretty much always using my SmallHD focus, so I have it on the camera at all times. It's super light, it doesn't weigh anything, so taking it out with me is not a big deal. The other thing is that the A7 III does not do 60 frames per second at 4K. That's not a huge deal to me because on the one hand, with the Lumix, you have 60 frames per second at 4K in micro four thirds, and with A7 III you have full frame pretty much throughout. So I'm a little bit meh about it, and also I think it looks just as good. I think that full frame is the way to go anyways. So now I heard a lot of complaints about the menus on the Sony. I don't really have much experience with any other menus. I mean, I have used Canon cameras and I have used obviously the GH5, and I've got the Blackmagic, which that menu feels like it's from the Stone Age. But I like it. I think the reason that I love those aspects of the Sony, the screen and the menus, is just, for one, the build quality is amazing. The GH5 always felt just kind of flimsy and chintzy and kind of fat in my hands. The Sony is this compact, sleek, sexy little thing that I love to hold and I love to mess around with and touch all of its buttons. It's getting a little intimate. I might need to take a break. It just works for me. It just feels great for me. And the other thing that I didn't think that I was gonna want was autofocus. I thought, well, why would I need autofocus? I'm doing all of this on my own. I love manual focus, but when you need it, you need it. And it's no joke that GH5 stinks with autofocus. Now, what are some of the other reasons that I decided to go with the A7 III over everything else? One of the big reasons is because everybody that I admire will say, specifically in the YouTube space, they use Sony. So despite that, I went with the GH5 because I got one on Amazon Warehouse, barely used, for like 1,300 bucks. So it's a great deal. It's a steal for that. But then I spent $200 on the Viltrox adapter plus a few other things. So I was already in it for close to $2,000 probably, which brand new, that's what the A7 III costs. So when I first started getting into the YouTube thing, there's a lot of dude guys and a lot of dude girls who I admire, and I was just watching their stuff going, you guys are great. And every single one of them were using Sony. Most of them were using the A7 III. One particular guy, Make Art Now, link him up here for you. He basically just lays out, here's how you set it up for perfect real estate videos. Here's how you set it up for perfect low light. Here's how you set, it's just, he gives you cinematic settings. So I've got my camera set up how he set his up, and I'm just blown away by how amazing it looks. So I'm very grateful to you, Josh. Thank you very much. I'm copying you now. One of my favorite photographers, she did the full-on switch as well, and so I was just like, I should just get it, but then I didn't, and now I'm bummed out that I didn't, but now that I have it, I'm really excited. And then a big one for me, besides especially Josh Yeo, was Sean Tucker. Now Sean Tucker, if you guys aren't familiar with him, check his work out. His work is amazing. He does this incredible photography, but he has an entire, rather somber video. All of his videos are a little somber, which is why I really like him, about trading in all of his gear and getting 2 Sony A7 IIIs. It's interesting because he talks about sometimes your gear, you have to be dispassionate about it, about your gear. You shouldn't have an emotional attachment to it. And I 100% agree with him on one hand, where he didn't necessarily feel excited to switch to Sony. He didn't feel excited to trade in all of this cool gear and go with the stuff that he knew was best for him right now. For me, I was excited to get Sony. And part of the reason is because all these amazing people that I follow, that I admire their work so much, they were using it. I think I just felt like I was joining a club. I was becoming part of some bigger thing that that I could just kind of slide right into, and suddenly, ooh, I'm in this group that uses this cool equipment. And I mean, that's just really how I've felt about it, I guess. And then of course a couple of guys who were GH5 users and have switched over to the Sony, I was a little skeptical at first, wondering why, and now I know why, because it's just better, man. That was kind of the bummer with the GH5. The company doesn't offer log in the camera itself, So you'd have to spend another $100. So again, you're already in for what you would be in for it with an A7 III. So I don't know. I was just making the decision, again, probably just a dispassionate decision based upon what I thought I wanted. So I'm very grateful that I went there, that I gave it a try, and I'm very grateful that it didn't work out and I was able to sell the gear to, you know, on eBay, which is just, you can sell anything on eBay. It's amazing. I sounded like a grandpa. You can sell anything on eBay. This internet is incredible. And yes, there are pluses and minuses to every piece of gear, every purchase that you will ever make when you're looking to be a photographer or a filmmaker. You're just gonna have pros and cons across the board. No matter where you start or where you're going, you're gonna have thoughts and issues, and the gear that you have obviously needs to become a part of you, become an extension of you. That's why I got into this game in the first place of making a whole bunch of different things, is because I had been a writer, I had been a director, but I had never really held the camera in my hands. I didn't know anything about the camera or lenses or just how they work. And so it was time for me to learn. And so I've been doing this now for, I think, almost exactly just 1 year of actually being the guy with the camera doing the whole thing. And I feel like the more I learn, the less I know, which is why I wanted to express to anybody watching this who is new to the game or was like me, who has been making things for 5, 6, 7 years, but never really understood how things were working, how the camera was working. This is one of the best pieces of equipment you can buy, because it's going to give you the full frame capabilities that you want as a filmmaker. It's going to give you log if you want to practice color grading. It's going to give you the low light capabilities so you can shoot in pretty much any condition that you want to. And it's just so sexy, man. I just love how it feels. But what I'm saying is that calculate how much you want to spend, but know that if you just go dive in, all in on one great piece of gear, your starting point is going to be here instead of down here and trying to learn your way up to here. Just start here and figure it out. I used to brew beer, and I always felt like I wish someone had told me early to just buy all the stuff to do it right instead of starting with Mr. Beer or starting with some dumb kit that you just take a bunch of syrup and you turn it into beer. It ain't beer. So anyways, I hope that some of this was able to inspire you a little bit to get out and be creative, or whatever it is that you do, whether it's if you're a writer, or if you do make videos and movies, or if you ride horses. Maybe it makes you excited to go buy a new horse. That was a very strange thing to say, but probably more relevant than you think. So thank you for watching. I hope that there is a little tidbit in all of this that you can take with you and make you excited to go and make some amazing stuff. But that's what I'm gonna go do. I'm actually gonna go make the intro that you just saw, but I'm gonna make it now, later. Ooh, that got real quantum for a second. I like it.